What's up, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Falcons in Focus podcast presented by Ticketmaster, recorded in the Ticketmaster studios. I'm Scott Bair. That's Tori McElhaney, the man of the hour. Brand new Falcons defensive lineman.
Yeah.
To read through his resume would take the entire time that we have allotted, so we'll just say that he's been pretty good for a long time.
Right.
Calais Campbell over here. And I'm going to start with a little behind-the-scenes topic that we normally don't get into because, do fans really care about what goes on outside of what they can see on a podcast? Well, everybody was talking about 2 minutes ago, and the guys in the back had to modulate Calais' microphone because his voice is so low that they had to get it just right because no one who's ever sat in that chair has had a voice that low.
Yeah, I know. Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Happy to bring my voice to the team.
I think you have a good voice. I think people are with the headphones on. They're going to be like, it's very nice.
Oh yeah, but I mean the people, the producers, they always have to elevate it.
They have to find that right balance. So I was curious. The voice has an origin story, somewhat, right?
Yeah.
Because it happened kind of like when you were in the league or something like that. That's what I read.
Yeah, we've heard this. We've done our research, and apparently there is a story about your voice that we wanted you to tell.
Well, I mean, it happened over time. So
okay. It wasn't like a
one
big moment.
Story, yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was like one game and it was gone.
I mean, it kind of happened like that, but it was like one of those things where like my voice would go and then come back and go and come back, and then it went and never came back. So it was kind of like there was a catalyst. It was like a moment. But, it's kind of interesting because people only know me like from the later part of my life. They will go back watch all videos and be like, you sound way different, it happened. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I like it because it built it's earned,
it's
built
earned.
the character. But I think it's just a lot of passion, a lot of screaming and yelling on the football field. And I think that just kind of made the voice a little more raspy.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Dimension and character.
Well, and it's perfect for his second line of work, which could be like big time movie trailers. It's announcing like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think so. Your brother Jared is a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is a quote I pulled from the Baltimore Ravens website. It sounds like he swallowed someone and they're screaming to get out. Which from a stand-up comic.
He tries to be funny. He thinks he's hilarious. He is hilarious, though. He is, But I happen to be the butt of a lot of his jokes.
Oh, really?
I mean, it happens, But, I have 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and I grew up with. I have a couple half brothers and sisters. In my family, we have so much fun, but there's a lot of trash talking. It's like being in a locker room.
So. Yeah,
it's like that's why football is so much fun to me because it's like just being like the way we grew up. It was a locker room.
Right. Yeah, that was what I was going to ask. I'm glad that you brought this up because you were doing research and you're like, okay, this is a guy who comes from a big family, 7 siblings. I think is what you guys were when y'all were younger. 5 of your brother or all of your brothers, I assume, all played football too, and y'all all played football at a fairly high level. I think. All college players?
Well, one of my brothers went to school for academics, and then the other 4, they all have football scholarships.
Okay, gotcha. What was it like growing up with this group of siblings that, honestly, I look at pictures of you guys, and you all look really, really close, but to have that, those siblings around you, what was kind of growing up like?
It was amazing, obviously sports were kind of second nature to us, and we played everything, and you never had to go out and try to make friends. You just had your brothers, and I think that way we actually made some really quality friends because all of us, our friends are all each other's friends because we're so close, and so we have a really good network of just quality people, and sports, even watching games was always fun. You got somebody to compete with, talk trash to, and then playing them was even more fun. So and it's actually cool. I'm hoping they come out, fairly often this year. I got a suite, so I can make sure that when they come, I got the terrace 2 down below, so I can see them.
Right, yeah.
I got to make sure I'm balling though, because if I ain't making no plays, they're gonna be talking trash.
In a spot where they can actually hear you.
Yeah.
Like someone's gonna be yelling at you, and it's like, it's my brother.
Yeah. I'm getting heckled by my brother. Step your game up.
Be like, yes, that's heckling, but it's
don't worry,
motivating.
it's fine.
I guess I'm just curious, like one of these 2 things. When that group of kids starts playing, I imagine one of 2 things is happening. You're either in the house and breaking stuff, or you're outside scraping knees and playing football on asphalt.
Yeah, we were out of the house as much as possible.
Right.
You know, mainly because my parents were like, yo, y'all got to get out.
You got to go.
You can't be breaking stuff in here. You know, because I mean, in my 5 brothers, there's 6 boys within 7.5 years. So we're all pretty much a year apart.
Within
you know?
7.5 years?
Yeah.
Woo!
My mom was pregnant the whole 80s. You know,
She's a saint.
she's incredible. You know, and after witnessing my wife give birth, I'm like, wow. I mean, I didn't even realize how incredible my mom is.
Right.
But she is definitely Superwoman, and just, I mean, wow. But because of that, though, we're all like super close in age. So I was always in school with my brothers, and like, you know, and so like every time we go and do like, you know, recess or whatever when I was young, like my brothers were there, you know. And then when we, you know, summertime hits and we're outside playing the whole time, we go play 5-on-5, pick up basketball. Like it's me and my brothers versus everybody else, you know. And so it was always kind of cool. Sometimes, like if you know, to keep it even because we're pretty good athletes,
Yeah,
we'll split the teams up and stuff to try to make sure you can get a good game and stuff, though. But I mean, I don't think I would be who I am without having like my big brothers to compete against. It's kind of interesting because I tell my wife all the time, like I think I was in like the perfect position because I had older brothers who drove me to kind of want to improve my skills so I can compete with them because they were just better at being older until we got to a certain age. And then I had my younger brothers so I could just like, you know, build my confidence with because you kind of, you know, when you play against your younger brothers, you know you could beat them. So like, you know, but they were competitive too. I mean, I remember the first time my younger brother blocked my shot on the basketball court. I'm like, what just happened?
It's like, wait a minute. How did this happen?
You know?
In your mind, I feel like little siblings are always like, they never outgrow like 6 years old. So you always think like, I can beat up on them. And then you get to the point and you're like, you can beat up on me now. And it's like, oh God. But you were, if this is right, you were 6'8" at 15 years old.
At 15 years old.
Are all of your brothers like as, I don't want to say
You
this,
weren't like the runt of the family, were you?
No. The comedian, he's the runt of the family at 6 foot.
See, we have to be
6
funny.
foot.
The
Yeah.
runts have to be funny.
Yes.
funny.
But it's funny because, like, I mean, he did some hot stuff in Hollywood, and he has the personality of being like the little guy. But he goes to Hollywood and like he's 6 foot, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, 210 pounds. You know, you're the big guy, you know. And so his personality didn't really match the look because he literally is like in our family. Like we tease him as he's like the guy is too small to do anything.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Now, when you're like growing up, I know basketball was also one of your main loves along with football. And I saw something that said you were like, you know, if I loved basketball, how good of a basketball player would I have been if I loved basketball like I loved football? When was that, like, in your mind, did football become kind of it for you?
Oh, yeah. No. So football has always been it.
Okay.
You know? So when I was 6 years old, getting ready to turn 7, I begged my dad to play football because I loved the game, and I knew that I just found out you can do organized football at 7 or 6 years old, really. And so my dad pretty much told me if I could find a place to sign me up. My older brother, who was 11 at the time, my oldest brother, he'd help me go through the phone book and find a team. We happened to find the best team in Colorado, just pure luck.
Wow.
And,
just going through the phone book? Just like,
yeah, it was old school. I'm dating myself a little bit. Yeah, most of the guys on the team don't even know what a phone book is. But back then we had phone books, and we found a team, the Park Hill Pirates, and I still work with them a lot till this day. They were monumental in my development in football, my love for the game and stuff. But I started at this will be 30 years of playing football because I was turning 7 in that September. So I think I started in August, so it was like a month of 6.
Yeah.
But it was great. But basketball, I didn't really play basketball until like 7th grade.
Okay.
You know, like I loved basketball with my brothers and stuff, and it was fun, but it was never on the same level as football. Like football was always my first love. Basketball, I was just good at it, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it's I'm a competitor, but I really believe if I put the same effort in basketball as I did football, I could have been really good in the NBA. But football always had my heart, and it was never a doubt. But it's kind of funny because like I tell people I was really good at basketball, and they're like, "Come on, bro! If you're really good at basketball, you be playing basketball." And I'm like, "No, I love football. Like football's my heart." Like, but at the time, like I had the high school basketball coach. He used to tell me all the time, like, "Just give me the same effort you give the football coach." I'm like, "I hear you, coach." He's like, "You could be in the NBA." I'm a year younger than LeBron in school, and so like I was really good as a junior and sophomore and stuff. And so he was like, "Man, you could be better than LeBron James," And I'm like, at the time I'm thinking like I probably could if I put effort in, but I just football was always my heart, and that's why I'm still doing it today. I mean, I don't play football for any reason other than I love the game. I mean, I've made good quality money and all that stuff, and I feel like I've accomplished a lot of success and stuff, and I mean the ultimate goal is to get a gold jacket, and I don't know if I've done enough or not. I feel like I'm in the conversation and all that good stuff, but I thought for sure that there was gonna be a time where I just feel like, okay, I'm done playing football, but this offseason came and I was like, man, I want to keep playing. I'm still good at it,
right.
and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Now it takes a lot to get ready for it. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But going through the grind, all that stuff, like I still appreciate it, and so it's a lot of fun. I'm glad that I'm still able to do it. There's a couple of times where I won't be able to do it anymore, and hopefully I get to go out on my own terms and I don't get injured or anything like that. But that's it's football, so we'll see how it goes. But at the end of the day, just to be able to play this game a little longer and do it the way I love to, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited, and just being here this week with these guys, and just like there's such a good energy. This is a great place. I'm really happy with my decision. I had a lot of offers, and I was trying to weigh everything, and it's like hurry up and make a decision. But honestly, I feel like I could have made a better decision. This was great for me. So
right. I'm glad that so this is actually like farther down in our notes, but because you're talking about it now, I wanted to ask about it. Like
that's a good
you
call.
talk about like what it takes to be in the league for as long as what you have, but like the physical toll that it takes on the body to be in this game at the professional level. What are some things that you do that has allowed you that longevity that people may not know about or may not realize that, hey, he does this for his body in order to be to continue?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, but I mean, so I always. I think I've learned at a somewhat of a young age in the NFL, it's better to do prehab instead of doing rehab.
Yeah.
And so a lot of guys get hurt and then they want to do all this stuff to take care of their body to get back right. And it's, you see all the guys doing the rehab stuff and it works. You get back strong, you strengthen your muscles and you're back on the field and you're playing good ball. But I was like, let's get ahead of the curve. Let's do that stuff now.
Right, exactly.
Preventative stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, I do a lot of body work. From all the soft tissue stuff, deep tissue massages, and dry needling and acupuncture, and I got ankle specialists and knee specialists, and those guys also are specialists in other things too.
Right.
But the ankles and knees are the main thing for my position, and making sure I can bend and have the flexibility to get down in the stance and stuff. Hip specialists and all that stuff. But you just work with people, and I've been lucky enough over the years to find like people who are really good at the job. Anything. There's people who are like a lot of people can do a job.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are really good at that job, and there's some people who are like the best. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I've accumulated a team of the best. And so it's kind of cool. But because of that, it gets pretty expensive and stuff like that. So, but I tell guys all the time because, young guys, some guys don't really want to spend the kind of money it costs to, find the best people to take care of your body. And I'm like, man, think about it as an investment into your career, especially when you're young. And you don't really need it as much when you're young. When I was in year 4, I didn't do a lot to take care of happen. I didn't really
you
need
don't
to.
think about it. You're like, I'm in the prime of life. Everything's fine.
But as you get a little older, and really it happens fast. It's not like, like you're 6, if you ain't taking care of your body, you're probably not going to last too much longer, And so, but, you get to a point where it's like, you need more and more. But, each year I feel like I have to add stuff.
Right, another specialist in the team.
What else can I do to improve my chances of, just being a good player and being out there? Because the best ability is availability.
Yeah. Mm.
And so, I don't want to be out there, on one leg or, hurting. I want to be feeling full strength. And if I feel full strength, even in year 16, I feel like I can go out there and give you, a bunch of high-quality plays and make a difference and help the team win the football games. And to do that, though, it takes a lot of hours. Because, I think the biggest thing, for me, I don't even care about, the money part. I'll make the investment just because I like being good on the football field. But it's the hours. And that's what makes it hard. A lot of guys don't want to go through the time and, just the mental grind of being away from your family, and me having kids and stuff. And I purposely had kids late because I wanted to, wait. So it wouldn't take away from me and my love for the game. Yeah. But now, I got a 3-year-old and he's definitely wants attention. Daddy's go outside, let's do this and that. And I'm like, Daddy got to work. And it's heartbreaking sometimes. But I think that's what retires guys more often than not. But he's still young enough, and I really want him to be able to come into the locker room and be around and kind of see me playing football. So it's kind of like it still motivates me to still do well, so he can witness it a little bit too.
That's cool. I love that.
I think so often fans see you 3.5 hours for 17 on 17 days a year or 21, like obviously you want to play 20, but that they only see that and they don't know, right, that going to work is so much more than that. And you talk about investments. I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but like you talk about investments, it's about the next contract too, about the next opportunities and being able to stack those, right? And I just think it's interesting because you're at a point now where your son is 3. I have 2 little kids, so I hear what you're saying here, where it's like you want to see them do this, right? And how cool has that been since you've become a dad, right? And you're starting to get these experiences that your dad got when you were 3 and some of your brothers were younger. What does that kind of mean to you as you move forward? I'm sure you're taking lots of pictures, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, what does that mean to you to have him with you during this experience, even though he's still young?
Yeah, it means a lot, and seeing his love for the game, too. Like, he doesn't really know the game,
Sure.
He just knows daddy's out there running around and hitting bags and doing all kinds of stuff. But he wants to do it too, when he sees me out there, and it's always cool because I do bring him with me sometimes when I'm training, and I brought him in the gym, last week when I was training, and he's trying to, lift some of the weights that he saw me doing. And it's just kind of funny because it's like, wow, this, he's growing up so fast and, it's like, yo, hold on, man, I don't want to do what you're lifting weights yet, but let me just, let me see what you look like doing this, do some push-ups. And his push-ups are so funny too. Like he pushes his butt up first, then his arms. Yeah. And he's like, I did it,
Well, you kind of did.
Yeah, it wasn't really a push-up, but you did something,
Right.
But it's moments like this that I cherish forever, and capturing these moments and I'm grateful for technology and being able to record as much as possible, and hope the goal is to, build a big catalog of stuff that he can look back on and, just be like, man, this was me when I was a kid, that, we don't have, my dad was really good at, capture videos, but somehow they just disappeared.
Get lost in time.
Yeah, it was VHS and stuff
I
like
was going to say, it's not exactly on the laptop.
Yeah, the digital factors are, nowadays are a lot nicer. I can capture as much as I want to, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you for the cloud.
Oh man, well, I'm glad you brought up your dad. I actually wanted to ask a little bit about him. Your foundation, CRC Foundation, is essentially this whole project, this whole foundation is a reflection of your dad, and it's kind of a continuation of his teachings. And so I was just curious if there were any stories about your dad that you remember that you can think back on to be like, this is who my dad was and this is the man that I want to teach my son to be.
Yeah, wow. That's a really good question. My dad was my hero, and he passed away when I was 17, and that was very hard on all of us. And, but just the man I remember is such an incredible man, my mom used to get upset because we'd go to the grocery store and he's making friends and talking to people and just just the friendliest person in the world, which I got a piece of that too. I'm pretty friendly myself. And so you can take forever just, talking to strangers and just, he's just a very curious person.
Yeah. And that's a talent.
Oh yeah. And, he also was the kind of guy that I think he, has been in times where he needed help a lot, for, different things. And so he's been there before. So I remember every time he seen anybody who, ran out of gas and they're trying to push their car, we had to hop out and push that car and help them get to the gas station and stuff. And he has these, strong young boys. Come on, let's go help him. It's like, how come we always got to be able to help him?
He's like, I'm directing.
Yeah.
You do it.
But he was building character, he was building, he was teaching us, the value of just community, and helping people in need and just appreciation of just, being a human being, and I feel like, sometimes that gets lost, but, I think that, we can all be, it's human nature to be a little selfish too, because if you don't take care of you, who will,
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, I think that, we're tribal by nature and we're supposed to, be a part of communities, be a part of something. And so, it's just, I feel like, we were very involved in our community. We used to throw the paper out and stuff, but all your neighbors. Yeah. You go and talk to everybody. My dad was very active in school. He knew all my teachers, so I couldn't really slack up. I knew my dad might just pop up any given day, randomly, on his lunch break or whatever to come in, check on us, and make sure we were good. And, it just was a really just a great person, high integrity. I could tell you probably 1,000 stories of times of him teaching me stuff. I don't know, this one just popped in my head. But I was good in sales, when I was a kid, and we used to sell candy and stuff. Mainly we sell candy to get like cleats and stuff for football and other sports as well, whatever, just to get the stuff we needed. It was like a fundraiser in a sense.
Right.
But I had the bright idea of selling it for more than what it was worth.
Well, a little entrepreneur,
yeah. And like it wasn't really wrong if I would have communicated to everybody involved.
Right, yeah.
But instead, I made them believe I was still selling it at the price I was supposed to. I just pocketed the difference. But then I like to brag a little bit, back in the day, and so I told myself to my brothers. And then one of my brothers, I guess he just had enough of me, and so he decided he was going to tell on me to my dad, and it was all bad because it was just like your communication, like you can't just you can't just lie, cheat, and steal to get by. You have to be fair and be honest and communicate and stuff like that. But I just for about 10 minutes, he made me feel like I was the worst kid in the world. But one thing my dad always did a really good job of, though, is he came in and he loved on us and he told us like why things were important. And like especially in the sports world too, I told him I wanted to be in the NFL, and I mean, I joke around and say that was like a mistake. Obviously, it wasn't. I mean, what happened?
It worked out.
Transpired for me to be here, right?
Yeah.
But when I was 13, I told him I wanted to be in the NFL. That was something that was important to me. He was like, okay. He said, that's a goal of yours? You really want to? I was like, yeah. He was like, all right. Well, what do you need to do for that to happen? And I was like, well, I got to work, and he was like, yeah. He's like, there's a lot of kids that's talented. There's a lot of kids all over the world, all over the country who are talented, and I mean, I was, athletic kid at the time, 13. I wasn't really quite as big as I am now, but I was trending
you were getting there
in the right direction, yeah. And so I knew I had potential from like an athletic standpoint.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, there's a lot of kids with potential, and talent. Talent, that only gets you so far. It's gonna be the work ethic. And so he came up with a plan, and we were gonna go. It was summertime right before school started. But it was like a couple times a week we were gonna go to this local high school, and we were gonna just put me through drills. So I had to run. Pretty much we got to running like 2 miles a day, and then I would do football drills. And like for a while there, it was like, it was torture.
Right, it was hard, yeah.
But it taught me though, like, there's only really one way to be successful at something, that's to work, you know. I don't care how talented you are, I don't care, like even, guys are first round picks or undrafted free agents. When you come into this league, it does not matter. Once you get here, it's what you do with the opportunities you're given. And a lot of that comes down to, how hard are you willing to work, to build your technique, to take care of the small things. And like, coaches see your effort, it shows up, what you repeatedly do is what you are, greatness is a habit. And so, but, those lifelong lessons, and there's, so many. My dad was a great teacher, and put so much good stuff in my mind and heart, and and led by example and showed me, and made sure that I was accountable to it, and and those things, the sacrifices he made, definitely it was a big reason, why I'm here. I wouldn't be here today, without having a great father. And, and that was the journey that God chose for me too, to have a great father. I used to, get sad, when I thought about my dad passing away. And then I was like, I was lucky enough to have a great dad for 17 years. So I really can't be too sad because there's a lot of guys out there, I talk to, and it's just like, man, like dads are chilling around, they don't even know him, and that's just so sad, heartbreaking, but, I was fortunate enough to have, the ultimate dad for 17 years of my life.
I think the more that we talk about your experience and your story, the more like perseverance keeps coming up. And I mean that in a wide range. We're getting all deep here, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. But a lot of people like to talk about the time when your family was in some form of a shelter, right? And, like we're in on hard times. The part about that story that I like is that it went from shelter to apartment to house. Like that's the cool part of the story to me. Yeah. Is the perseverance of coming through that, right? We talked about you doing all this prehab stuff, right? How do you persevere in the NFL over 16 years? You do the smart thing right? Yeah. That we kind of keep seeing this. I hate hearing you talk about your dad. That seems to be like a theme. Is that kind of something that you've learned that you want to pass off to Zach Harrison and your son or anybody who's listening to this right now, that perseverance isn't always just going through adversity, right? It's about prehab, and it's about doing all these different things.
Yeah.
That you've done.
I feel like, my dad taught me that I can do anything I want in this world, right? As long as I'm willing to put the work in to develop the skill and the talent to be able to accomplish it, right? And like, there's no limitation. Anything can be learned, right? Anything can be, taught and learned. And so, I mean, I guess as long as I have the capability to learn it, I can be great at it, And so my brothers, even not my brothers a little bit, but my friends would tease me a lot because I have this ridiculous confidence. I tell them I could be in the NBA, and they're like, whatever,
Okay.
I really believe that, like, I can develop the talent, develop the skill. So talent is God given. You only have so much of that, but I could develop the skill to be really good at whatever I put my time and effort into, and that was definitely taught. And I felt like hard times don't last. Tough people do. And so, like, my life experiences have taught me, like, sometimes you can get, bad hands. You're gonna get, tough things dealt to you, adversity dealt to you. And how you handle that is going to really, show who your true character is, what you're really made of, and I believe that God doesn't put anything on you that you can't handle. And so, when we were young, and I was, 11, turning 12, when we were in the homeless shelter. And, it felt like a long time. It was probably like 4 months, 4 or 5 months. It was, I don't even remember exactly how long it was, but it wasn't that long.
Right.
It was a small part of my childhood. But it was a monumental part of my childhood, and, we were in a family homeless shelter, so we were all together, which was very, very, I was kind of lucky. You don't really get that too often. And, my parents both lost their job at the same time, and it was just a bad situation, and we ended up having to go to a homeless shelter. But, my dad made sure that, we understood that he was working hard to, get us out of the situation, and just to be patient and, make the best of it. There's not much you can do other than, keep your head high, keep your attitude right, and just, and give us some time, and we'll work our way out of this. And we did. We moved into a one-bedroom apartment. You got 10 people in a one-bedroom apartment. It's a little tight, yeah. But I mean, it was better than the homeless shelter, that was for sure.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, we moved into a 5-bedroom house, and some people got older and started moving out too as well. So it wasn't as many people in the house, but it was a great life lesson. It's just like, when bad times come, or even like, if you want something really bad, it's just like, okay, put your head down and just do the work. If you do the work, and you do it, the best you can, eventually, the good stuff will come from it. Hard work always pays off. There's not, I think there's like a old picture or whatever, and people are, mining for gold or whatever, and they, end up giving up, and it's like they were,
right
2 feet away from the gold or whatever, and it's just like a little bit more, and my mindset is like, just keep going, just keep going, take it one day at a time, and do the best I can, and I tell guys all the time, like, greatness is a habit. If you study greatness, people do the small things over and over well. And then eventually it looks like, everything they do is great, but it's just the small things. I mean, Jordan was the hardest working player, in sports, and that's what allowed him to go out there and excel, and, you always have these Jordan LeBron debates and stuff like that. But LeBron is also the hardest working person,
right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the people, Kobe Bryant the same way, the people who are considered the great who are in that conversation were the hardest working people, and it goes across every field, any industry, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to be, diligent in the grind. And so, I just always encourage, people to put the work in. Young rookies come in, and you got potential. Like, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have the talent. You have talent. Somebody saw it, you have enough talent to be out here, And now it comes down to, you need a little fortune. You need just to be blessed because, I don't care how hard you work at taking care of your body. Stuff just still happens. Sometimes you just need fortune.
Yeah.
But I tell them all the time, like, after practice we're gonna work, on something, whatever it is, and then you put emphasis on the day. I'm gonna get better at something small, because like the small things become the big things, and you gotta kind of break it down and like set goals and small goals that eventually, if you do well over and over time, you build up just a muscle memory where you do it everything well, and eventually you're going to start making a lot of plays. And, there's a guy in Baltimore that I think is going to have a heck of a career named Broderick Washington. And, he came from a guy that I don't think, a lot of people thought he was going to be really good. I mean, obviously the Ravens did because they drafted him. I think he was a 5th-round pick, maybe 4th round.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. But it was just like, he was that one guy like that every day after practice he's doing something, I was always the hardest working person on the football field. As I got a little older, hard work had to change. I can't be out there running the most sprints or doing the most work after practice. It just, that's just not how it works when you get to be older. So my hard work, comes in the form of taking care of my body, and so like that's like, the soft tissue and body work stuff is the extra stuff that pays dividends for me to be able to go out there and play well. And I've also got so many reps of, playing well, on the football field, like where I don't need as much extra work after practice to
like
be able
the
to
muscle memory is there.
It comes a little quicker,
Yeah, yep.
But like I was just, I remember talking to him and like telling him like, actions speak louder than words. You say you want to, start in this league, actions speak way louder than words will ever. So you could tell me that, but show me. And I remember him taking the challenge and like him going and put that work in over and over again. And I told him too that he's like, you won't get me cut, and he's like, man, you Calais Campbell ain't gonna never cut you. I'm like, well, you cheaper and you playing some good ball, and like, I see it, like, the guys who have that work ethic, it's always gonna show. And it took him a while too, because he was, he still hasn't really made a lot of plays in his league yet, but he was around a lot of plays. He just missed a lot of plays last year, and I'm like, I see it, and it's just that's just an example. But I can go down a list of so many guys that I've worked with over the years, and like I've always took pride in helping young guys develop to be the best they can be. And I never had that like, this guy might take my job or anything like that, it's competition, of course, and if somebody else is playing better, hopefully it'll raise my level to play better too. But I've always had brothers, like, we compete, we get better, and at the end of the day, there's enough to go around for all of us, And so, you all get, pats on the back when we all do well, And as a whole, and my goal is always to see the young guys, develop and be the best they can be, And you joke around and say it's to protect your pension. I want to keep the game strong so I can make sure my pension, I keep getting that, down the road. But what it really comes down to it though is I get a lot of, like we talk about my dad and just community, and like my brothers, and just, try to help each other be the best we can be, and these guys, when you come here, I know what they've been through to get here, because it's not easy to get to the NFL. Like getting to the NFL, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of just, blood, sweat, and tears to get here, so I know what you have to go through, and I respect that. So of course, you've already shown that you can put the work in, so I'm gonna give you more work to use, on and off the field, and that if you do it properly, the formula is very simple, and we're gonna perfect it, but if you're willing to put the work in and execute the formula, it works. I'm firsthand example of it working.
Yeah, man.
I think that's interesting. Just kind of one last kind of topic as we're kind of heading down the pike here. Just that Tori found this great note. I hate to steal it from you, but
is it the T-shirt?
It's the Terrell Davis thing.
Oh, the Terrell Davis thing. Yeah.
I'll let you do
that.
No,
I saw a photo or something where you grew up in the Denver area and a big time Broncos fan growing up, and there was a photo of you when you were younger with Terrell Davis, and you had said something or wrote something down, I can't remember in my research now, but something along the lines of like meeting him really put in perspective like I don't even know what the word was, but it was like normalizing the athlete.
Yeah.
What was that meeting like for you in that moment, and kind of how do you think back on it now 16 years into the league?
Yeah. Well, I'll start off by saying this. I'm going to come back to that. Okay. But being a big Broncos fan, like growing up, I was a diehard Broncos fan. I love football, and they were the hometown team, so I was diehard. But I remember the Super Bowl in like 98, 99, and, Jamal Anderson and, like, the Dirty Bird and against the Broncos. And, like, that was, like, crazy to me because I loved the underdog story and the Falcons and, like, what they did there. And, I know there was a video of me doing the Dirty Bird, yesterday.
I love that.
And it was cool, but like, to me, like, I remember that like it was yesterday, like witnessing the Dirty Bird being done. And like, you want to root for them, but also being a Broncos fan, it was like, nah, not today, though, not for Super Bowl. But I love the team. I've always always loved to see him. So it's kind of cool to be a Falcon
Yeah.
because of that. But with Terrell Davis, you know, I mean, he was, you know, like, I mean, just everybody's favorite player when you grew up in Denver during that time, and he was, you know, the best player in football, best running back in football during that time. And you know, and I was like 8 years old. And he came to, it might have been like 9 or 10, because I think it was a little bit later. I think you know, I don't think they won a Super Bowl yet, but they were trending that direction.
Right.
You know, it was a practice after a Little League football game, and they had to bust all the Broncos. You know, or a few Broncos came down to where we were playing a Little League football game at, and I remember like talking to him, and like just like, I mean, he was super personable and just gave me so much love and attention. But like, you know, it's just like, man, like, you know, my dad was taller than him, you know, and my dad was a pretty good athlete too, like, as you can imagine. And so like, I mean, like, you know, he looks like my dad looked like he could take him, you know, a little bit.
Like, wait a minute, why isn't my dad in the league? Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, like in my mind when I see him on TV, like, you know, these guys
they're
are
larger
like,
than
you know,
life.
Yeah.
And then you see him in real life, and you realize, like, you know, I mean, he's just like my dad, you know. And so like it was huge for me, you know, because it made me believe like that, you know, like it can be done, you know. This person, he's just a person, you know, like similar to my dad, and like, so my dad could have made it, you know, if he had the work ethic and ability and wanted to, right? And so that kind of like was where that, you know, that really belief that maybe one day I can do that started, you know, at such a young age, you know. And I was fortunate enough to meet him again when I was like 14 or 15. And at that point in time, like, you know, there was a lot of people talking about I had a chance to go to the NFL. Like my high school football coach made me believe I had a chance and stuff like that. And so, but it was cool to be able to like talk to him and like ask him about, you know, just, you know, like what it takes and all the good stuff. And he's been a great mentor to me for over the years. And it's kind of cool because your idols become your, like, you know, peers and the people that, you know, your friends, you know. It's like, wow, you know, like, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Like,
so many guys too that I looked up to, like, you know, I was a big fan of that. Like I have their numbers in my phone. If I call them, they always respond and stuff. It's like,
Like,
you
wait
know,
a minute.
like,
how's
what
this
is this
happening?
life? Yeah, what is going on here?
gotta piss myself and, you know, just like, wow, this is life, you know. But I mean, this dreams come true, you know. And I mean, like, I you know, as a person that, like, I love being in the community, you know. I love doing community work, and I love being around kids. And you know, and I've had others, you know, Peyton Manning and Marshall Faulk came to a camp when I was like 13, and you know, I got to talk to them, and I remember like messing with Marshall Faulk, like I could tackle him, you know, and he was like, "You can't tackle me, man. You can't tackle me." I'm like, "No, I can tackle you." You know, I had a lot of confidence and heart.
Yeah.
But like, you know, but those memories are like yesterday. You know, I can remember them, you know, with all my heart. And I mean, for them, it's just 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
That 5 minute conversation with me, it was a lifetime for me. And so like I keep that in the back of my mind when I go in, you know, and go to schools and talk to kids, and like I just know how big that is, you know. And like, you know, I don't want to, I mean, parents do a really good job of killing dreams, you know. I'm glad my dad didn't do that. He made me work really hard, but he didn't kill the dream, you know. But it is hard, you know. It's almost unrealistic to expect that you're going to go to the NFL. It's just statistically you have a really low chance.
Right.
But like, I never want to be the person telling you like you can't make it, you know, because, you know, if you're willing to put the effort in and you have the talent, you know, there's a chance. I mean, somebody got to do the job. There's jobs, you know. There's only so many, but every year they're drafting new people, so you know, somebody gets to do the job. But I do try to, you know, just, you know, try to, you know, love on the guys and, you know, give them a chance. You know, I encourage them to, you know, have a backup plan. I was encouraged to have a backup plan as well. I mean, football didn't work out. I wanted to go be I wasn't do advertising.
Advertising. Okay.
You know,
That's
I feel like
cool.
I've been good at it. I was good at sales and stuff like that. I could have been good at it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to do it.
Right? Yeah. It worked out. It's all right. Yeah, I know we had Jeff Okuda on the podcast not too long ago, and he said, we were talking about backup plans, and he said he wanted to be a movie critic when he was like 18.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's so cool. Speaking of which, I have to say, with Jeff on the podcast, I accidentally, and I'll apologize to you now, when he was on the podcast, I was like, Calais was probably, like, when Calais entered the league in 2008, I was like, you were probably in diapers. And he goes, and then I looked it up, and he was 10.
Right.
So he
Oh, okay.
wasn't
So
in
he's not that
diapers.
much
He was
older.
10.
They seem very young.
They do.
But, you know, I mean, most of the guys were around. I'm not that old just yet. You know, I've definitely been around some guys who are really, really old, you know, but nah, I'm not that old just yet. I mean, year 16 I'm a young year 16.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I'm a young year 16, so.
But no,
love it.
I had to apologize to you because I accidentally, like, you caught a stray from me, and I was like, oh, man.
You're like, wait a minute, he's definitely gonna
I've been
see
catching
that.
strays for years. You know. The locker room is a special place, but it is definitely not for the faint of heart.
Brutal.
Yeah, they gonna tease you. I've been the old guy since probably year 8, 9. So it's been a while.
Yeah. It's
You
nothing
know.
new.
I didn't really deserve it back then. I deserve it now, though.
Oh goodness. Well, I could do this for like ever, maybe.
I know.
But
This
we
has been
got to
fantastic.
wrap. We always wrap the same way. It's rapid fire, 5 questions. They generally get this. Everybody generally in your seat gets the same questions. Are you ready?
Bring it.
All right, here we go. Question number 1: your favorite play of your career.
My favorite play of my career. Well, I would say there was a play against Brett Favre when he was with the Minnesota Vikings in my second year in the league, and they were, I think, on like a 9-game winning streak, and and they were coming to Arizona where I was at the time, and I remember telling the defensive coordinator, like, call this play, it's gonna work, and he looked at me and was like, okay, kind of gave me like a side face. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, you're 2. I haven't earned the right to go tell coach the play to call yet. But sure enough, he said next third down, he called it, and I did my job at a high level, and I broke free, and I sacked Brett Favre and made him fumble. And they didn't call it a fumble. They said he was down before he fumbled, but he fumbled. You watch the tape, he fumbled. But I did get fined for unnecessary roughness because he complained at the end of the game, and that was one of those fines that you frame. Although I don't know where I put it. It's
somewhere. Yeah. No, there are some that you're just like, I'll take it. It's fine. That's a good answer. I love that.
Who's your favorite player, regardless of sport? And this is back when you were like younger, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, I am a fan of greatness, and there's so many guys who I would put on the list of greatness, Ken Griffey Jr. and all these, so many people from so many different sports. But if I had to pick the number 1 guy, that was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. I mean, I was even so young when he was in his prime. And, so I didn't even understand the game like I do now to really even appreciate him. But, I went back and studied a lot and watched a lot of his tapes and stuff, as I got older, and tried to become a great player myself. And it was just like, man, like his work ethic and just like what he can do, and like, just being the best he can be, was so inspiring. Like his work ethic, the way he did things, and I mean, he was just larger than life. And I mean, I know for me, even though I love LeBron and I've gotten a chance to meet LeBron a few times. And, he's a great guy and I'm a lot of fun, but it's crazy because I'm always arguing, for the Jordan side of the argument. But mainly because, like, I see LeBron as a peer. I see Jordan as an idol.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good point.
Just because I was a kid with Jordan. So there's, like, he can never reach that level.
Right.
Even if the stats say he should because of just where I was at in my life when I got to witness him.
The pedestal that you put, like, people on. Yeah, that makes sense. The next question, can you still play the trumpet?
That one was specialized for you, obviously.
Because I saw a picture of you playing the trumpet, and I was like, well, now we have to get a band together.
Yeah, I actually just returned the trumpet to somebody let me borrow one for the last, I don't know, I had it for like 7 years. It was supposed to be that long, but it did collect more dust than I played it. I did play it a few, though. But I tried to play just a couple days ago, and it was ugly. It was ugly.
Keep it in the dust. It's fine.
Well, my son picked it up and he liked it, so I think we might be getting one for ourselves. So I might be buying one, so I might play a little bit more. But I was never that good to start with. I'm not like super musically gifted or anything like that. There's some guys who I know who are musically gifted. I'm like, you should be doing music. Me, I just liked it and it was fun to do. But I'm not going to put on no shows or anything anytime soon.
Well, it's funny because I've said this on this podcast before, but there are a lot of guys on this team that have played musical instruments before, and I keep saying, I was like, we just need to do like a video shoot one day where everybody brings in the instruments that they play, and so that we can judge how good everybody is at their various instruments.
I'm not good enough to like let the whole world see it, and I don't mind making a fool of myself, but like, I think I might have to practice a little bit better.
Yeah. We'll put it on the calendar so that you can prepare. That way we'll be ready.
With all that free time in your schedule. Right? And this question is a very quick one, but it probably is influenced by your extremely busy schedule. Is there like a show that you're binging, a show that's on your TV at the house all the time? Is there anything that you're like, I love this show? Or maybe it's like your kid has it on the television all the time and you can't avoid the show.
My kid does dominate television, a lot, but I still, I love TV. I want to, that's part of what I want to do when I'm done playing is I want to try to create TV shows and movies and stuff like that. I want to actually create some kid TV shows because I think it'd be cool to create content that my sons will watch. And we have another baby on the way, which is going to be
You do?
Oh, congrats.
That's awesome.
I mean,
you're about to be 2. Y'all are playing man-to-man moving forward.
It's kind of scary, though, because the due date is the 15th. And my wife's like, what are you going to do if it's on game day? If I go to labor on game day? And I'm like, it's a home game.
You should ask Jake Matthews about that. His wife, they had their first baby when we were up in Carolina on a Thursday night, and he went from Carolina to Atlanta. She had the baby, and he turned around and came back up and was ready to play.
On a private jet. Showed up 9 minutes before the game.
I hope that was Arthur Blake's private jet.
I think it was.
Yeah, but I hope that it's on like a Monday or Tuesday, so I got to worry about it too much. But if it happens to be on game day, I'm gonna try to make both work. I love the game of football though, and my wife knows that, so I think she's gonna be like, I don't think she thinks I would miss a game. And I really don't know. I mean, it's over a situation. I'm just praying it doesn't happen.
It's like just come on a Tuesday. It'll be fine.
Okay, so TV show that you like.
I'm currently binge watching Snowfall.
Jeff Akuta said the exact same thing.
Yeah. I heard good things. My brother, who does stand-up comedy, he also is like a big movie person and TV person. So he's been telling me I need to watch it and trying to spoil it for me. So I'm like, let me go ahead and just watch it before he can spoil it, because he can't keep things to himself. He wants to talk about something. So whatever happened in the show, he wants to talk about. Right, So I can't wait to get to that part where I can be like, oh, this is what he wants to talk about. Let me call him up. But Yellowstone is another one that I started that I want to get to eventually. Yeah. So when I'm done with Snowfall, I'm going to Yellowstone. Yes. And I actually just finished the second season of Bair, which is cool too. But I watch a lot of TV when I have the time. It just it used to be a lot more back when I was younger. Now it's like way harder. Once I had a kid,
it's like it went out the window.
Things changed.
Oh man,
watching so many of his shows.
Right? Yeah, it's like Peppa Pig and Bluey. What's the other one? Yeah. That's the one. Last question: where is your favorite place that you've ever traveled?
Wow. I love to travel. That is something that is important to me. I've been a lot of cool places, and it seems like whatever trip I take next is the best one.
It's always the best one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I will say that me and my wife have kind of took one big trip a year, other than this year. And then COVID year, of course. But but the trip that I think enjoyed the most was going to South Africa.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We went on a safari, and it was just so cool being in like nature, just seeing like the natural habitat of just animals, and just it was so cool. Like you didn't really there was no technology or anything like that. We didn't watch no TV or anything. We were just hanging at peace, good food, and just kind of like we had this cabin that was all windows, and you just see elephants walking by, and it's like and then we would go out on the little ATVs or the Jeeps, whatever, with the guides. And it's kind of funny, actually. There's a part where as long as you're in the car, like we all look like cars, and like we're not a threat to the animals, so they don't have any issue.
Yeah.
But the moment like you move too fast or like you try to get out of the car, like they have to fight or flight. And humans have been terrible to animals at times with poaching and all this stuff, so they see us as threats, just in their natural habitat. And so we're watching, and like there's all these things you want to see, the big five, but one of them was a water buffalo. And the water buffalo, there was like a bush in the area where we can get close to see him. So like everybody, we couldn't get a clean view. So he said, everybody, like one at a time, I'll just call you. You can stand up, you can take a picture, and then you can sit back down. Well,
I'm worried about where this story's going.
I am too.
Yeah, well, being 6'8", I stood out, when I stood up, and like the water buffalo popped up, and they either charge or retreat. And thank God he retreated. But I scared a water buffalo.
I was about to say that's the
story.
That's the story. Is like when you're playing Never Have I Ever or like whatever party game, you're like, well, I one time scared a water buffalo off. So what did you do?
That is
I love that.
Fantastic way to end it. We've kept you way too long. The only way to describe this podcast is epic.
Yeah, I loved
Seriously.
it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much
this
for
was a lot
joining
of
us.
fun.
My pleasure.
For joining the Falcons in Focus podcast, presented by Ticketmaster. Rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Calais, again, welcome to Atlanta. I know Falcons fans are so pumped to have you. We were thrilled to have you here. Can't wait to see what you and the Falcons do in 2023. Talk to you all very soon with another great guest. See ya.